Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Skein podcast. My name is Charlie and you can find me on social media as the Literary Crafter. I have not too much to show you this time because I have been extremely busy gardening and also have some exciting projects that I've been working on as well. But I do have a lot of books to share. I have been reading a lot. Audiobooks have been helping me with the gardening, and you will have to excuse the state of my hands. They have been absolutely destroyed by the gardening. I have no nails and I have more gardening to do, so I'm going to wait until we're at a point where I'm not cramming every spare moment in the garden, and then I can get my nails back to being I've never had long nails, but they can be nice again. So without further ado, let's get started with episode 3 of the Skein podcast. So make sure that you have something nice to drink and bring your knitting and crochet along with you so that you can sit and craft while I chat. First up, we have recently finished objects, and this is where I don't have too much to show you. So I had showed you in my last podcast that I had a few projects that were going to take a lot longer to finish, and a couple of those have been put on hold, and I will explain why. But firstly, I do have a finished pair of sun and moon socks to show you, and the pattern is a free pattern on Ravelry and it's by S.J. Griffin, and I used a Malabrigo Ultimate Sock and a Riverknits BFL for the colour work, and the pattern that comes, the chart that comes with the pattern has a lot more rows so that you can work the pattern down the foot, but I chose to end the chart here above and work a heel flap and gusset, which is my favourite sock construction method. I think the pattern calls for a different sock, so I modified that to suit what I like to knit and work the rest of the foot just in the navy, and I'm so pleased with how these turned out. I did work, because I modified the heel flap, I did work half of the stitches on one sock before starting the heel flap so that the inside of the ankle has the join, and it's not really too noticeable, to be honest, but because of the way that I've done it, that will always sit on the inside of the ankle and hopefully not be too noticeable. So I am very happy with these, and I'm looking forward to Practical Magic 2 coming out in the cinemas in September, and I might wear these when we go, if we go to the cinema. Regardless, I will be watching Practical Magic about 100 times, probably start in August, so not too long to go. And finished object number 1. So I knew that I was going to get those finished, so that's not surprising, but still it's a nice win to have something finished, and it is colour work, so I'm very proud of myself too. So they're finished, and the next project that I finished I don't actually have here to show you, but I will pop in some pictures, and that was a pair of socks that I made in a 24-hour knitting challenge. You can check out my previous video if you'd like to watch that. I vlogged the entire process of trying to knit a pair of socks in 24 hours, which I did manage to do it just about, and I was very proud of myself, and I went to post them and I sent them second class postage, and it was a large letter, I believe. I didn't pay for tracked postage, and they have unfortunately gone missing. It's now over 2 weeks since they should have arrived and they haven't, so I'm going to get in touch with the post office to see if there's any compensation that can be offered. However, I don't think that these are going to be found, which is one of the reasons that this video is late, because I just lost a bit of momentum that I had with crafting, and I feel a little bit deflated because I challenged myself for the fun of it and also just to see what I was capable of. But I chose this project for the challenge because I have so many other things that I want to make, and also gifts for friends' birthdays, and also planning projects for Christmas gifts that I really wanted to get a head start on. And now I'm going to have to knit this pair of socks again, which I do have time for, but in my brain I don't have time for. So I'm going to have to put some of my other whips on hold at some point so that I can make this pair of socks again. And they turned out so beautifully, and I do have enough yarn to make them again, thankfully. So that is that is my finished project, which is now who knows where. And I used West Yorkshire Spinners Signature 4-ply in the colours Seascape, which was a self-striping colour, and Blueberry Bonbon, and I can show you here that I have enough to make another pair, so that I will have to face that again. And on to more positive news. The next finished item that I have to share with you is actually one of my own patterns, and it hasn't been published yet, but it is in its final stages of tech editing, and I hope that it will be ready to share with you in the next couple of months. And I have been working on this pattern and the series of patterns for around, well, over 2 years, and I was almost ready to publish it, and then we moved house and life got thrown up in the air, and we were waiting for things to settle down before I re-entered the space of pattern designing. And to be honest, as much as I'd like to say that moving house and all of the stress that comes with that is the reason that I have not published yet, I think the largest reason that I haven't published is for fear and imposter syndrome and not feeling good enough. And I think fear has a funny way of keeping you where you're comfortable, and I am ready to move past that, and I'm feeling very proud of myself and excited for the future. And I am looking at a stack of finished objects behind the camera that are all my own patterns, and I just need to get them tech edited and then I can publish them. So I will show you this. Please be nice. This sock is, the pattern is going to be called Bluebird and Butterfly, and the pattern will be available in 3 circumference sizes, so hopefully it will be accessible to all adult knitters. I haven't published, or I won't be publishing this as a child's sock, just an adult sock. And this sock is going to be my debut as a knitting designer, and it's also going to be the first sock in a series which I'm calling the Songbook of Socks. So there's going to be several patterns published within this series, but I will publish as I go. And I will show you these socks. This is the largest circumference size made, which is a 72 stitch sock, and it features lace butterflies running down the ankle and down the top of the foot with a slip stitch, heel flap and gusset construction. And I will probably be publishing a video at some point when these are ready and have gone live, but I just wanted to show you them because I am super proud of myself for moving forward with this and not just putting the idea in the bin. And I really want to move past this imposter syndrome fear and self-doubt that just stops me from moving forward with things that I'm proud of and that give me a great sense of accomplishment and pride. And I have a quote pinned on my notice board, which has been there all of this year, which is one of my mantras for the year, and that is, nothing changes if nothing changes. So if I don't take a step forward or a step in a different direction, then I'm just always going to stay right where I am and be wondering what if, or I wish I could have done that, or should I have. So I am making a step, and that's quite scary. So yeah, please be nice. But these socks are made with Bird Street Yarns 75/25 Superwash Merino Nylon blend. It is a 4-ply, 100 grams is 425 meters, in the colour Sea Glass. And the colour's just stunning though, isn't it? Also, please excuse that snuffling. Bertie has come to find where I am and has just stuck his nose under the door to sniff me out. So that's that pattern, and I will share more with you as that progresses through tech editing, and once it's available on Ravelry I will be sure to let you know. And the next finished object that I have to share with you is also one of my own designs, and this is crocheted, and this pattern will hopefully be live on Ravelry by the time this video goes live, and it will be a free pattern, and it's only a small quick win project, and that is the whimsical flower coaster, and it looks like this. Is it going to focus? So it's just a coaster, and I've been making these for years to use on my desk. I remember making them as gifts for people, colleagues, and everyone had one on their desk. And recently I realised that I don't have a coaster on my desk, and then I made my coaster pattern, and then I thought, why am I not sharing this? So I have written the pattern up, I just need to check through it, and then I will share that with you for free on Ravelry. And the yarn that I have used for this is recycled cotton, and I've got my notes on my screen here. It is Hello Reborn Sustainable Double Knit Yarn. It's 313 meters per 200 grams, and it is 85% recycled cotton and 15% recycled other materials. I'm not sure what that entails, but it is a very unique texture to the yarn. It's quite crunchy, but it also feels a bit like denim. And this is in the colour Soft Blue, and I've also made this coaster in a few of their other shades and have since given them away. So I am making mine in Soft Blue, which match our bedroom colour. So I also have one of these on my bedside table. So once that is all written up and I've taken some nice photos, it will be live on Ravelry within a few days of this video going live. So please check it out if you're interested in making these. And I have also made these into a garland. So not only is it functional as a coaster, but it is also makes a lovely garland. I've made these for friends' wedding gift, and they hung them for the reception and the wedding. So by doing that, I attached some crystal buttons to the centre of each flower, and then I used a chain to attach them, and it makes a lovely garland. And I am also contemplating making a garland for the garden, probably to use next summer now, but I thought that would look nice as well. So that is my final finished object from the last few weeks. It's not too much to show, but that is how life goes, and it was going to be impossible to keep up with the output of finished objects that I had whilst I was absolutely buzzing with crafts, and that happens, it fluctuates. I did warn you. So my crafting has slowed down, but it also hasn't, and that's where the other exciting update comes in here. And there are many things that I am working on which I can't show you because they are patterns which haven't even reached the tech editor yet, or I have also submitted a few proposals to pattern submission calls for publications, which it has been one of my ultimate goals to be published in certain publications, or just to be published as a pattern designer again, like I was when I was younger. And when you're younger, I just felt a bit more fearless than I do now, so it's a big deal. Please wish me luck. So there are several patterns and projects that I can't show you, which I have been working on, and hopefully I will be able to share them with you soon, or at least let you know if it's a thumbs up or a thumbs down for me in terms of my patterns being accepted. So then we move on to works in progress. So now we're on to works in progress, and a couple of my works in progress from last month have been put on hold, and I will explain that. But I wanted to share with you an update on my Sophie's Universe blanket, which I did say, please tell me off if I haven't finished it by this video. And I haven't finished it by this video, but please don't tell me off, because I feel like in areas of personal development and pattern design, I am absolutely taking steps to try and achieve goals that have been on my list for years. And that battle with self-doubt is exhausting. And so when I had the rush of motivation following a few submission calls that I've found recently, I was just focused on that. However, I have been focused on this blanket, absolutely dying under the heat of it in the heat wave, and I have made good progress. But then the weather has been nice and I'm able to move around again, so I have been spending every spare moment that I could in the garden just trying to get on top of the weeds so that it is easy and we can enjoy a bit of the garden before the summer is over. So don't shout at me, please. I only have 9 rounds to go, and I can't remember what round I was on last time I showed you this, but it was around the pink. I think it was about here. So I have done all of this since showing you this last, and I know that I've got a lot of ends to weave in. I am just saving that until the end. I do weave in as I go when I can, but where the pattern is more lacy, I don't like to weave in as I go because I feel like you get a lot of floats, and I'd rather just get a tapestry needle at the end. But I am really happy with how this blanket is turning out. It is getting quite large, and I am just going to say now that I commit to finishing this by my next podcast episode. I know you've heard that before, but I am so close now with finishing this, and the only thing that may hinder that is that we have family staying for a couple of weekends. So weekends are generally my crafting time. I work full time and I generally film after work or in an evening, so weekends are crafting time, or at the moment weekends have been gardening time. So hopefully I can manage to get this done. If I publish another podcast in around a month's time, then I have 4 weeks, and if I can even just do a couple of rows a week, then I will be finished with it. So I'm feeling positive, and even though it's not finished, I'm not too disappointed in myself. I'm not putting unnecessary pressure on myself to finish this because I'm going in the right direction, and it is absolutely beautiful, and I can't wait to ship this off to my friend, and I absolutely will be paying for tracked postage. If I could just drive to her and deliver it myself, I would. So that is my Sophie's Universe blanket, which is my main work in progress that I am focused on. And the second work in progress, I'm not going to show it you because it is actually on the blocking board that I showed you, and I haven't done any more on it since the last episode, and that is the Quiet Sky crochet quilted blanket, and the pattern looks like this. However, I am making mine in a 3x4 size as a baby blanket, using up scraps and leftovers of Stylecraft Special DK and other acrylic that I had in stash. And even though I haven't done any more on it, it did go on hold completely because this is for a friend, and I thought that they were painting their nursery green. So then I thought, okay, I'm gonna put this blanket on hold. I'll order green yarn and then I will make it in green. I'll make some of the bunting that I designed for a magazine. It's called Take Me to the Beach. I thought I would design some stripy green bunting to go with the blanket for the nursery. And so that all went on hold. The yarn arrived, and then I spoke with my friend and they changed their mind, and the nursery is being painted blue. So now we can resume progress with the original blanket. So even though I haven't done any more on the blanket, I did say that I wanted to map out the colours and how I wanted it to look. So I have coloured in and cut out and stuck down 12 squares, and I've also colour coded with tiny scraps of the yarn. And so that's going to be my plan, what I'm working to. So within the blanket, it's got 4 colours of yarn, and then the grey is the contrast colour. So I have done 2 of every colour as the centre, or is it 3? 3 of every colour in the centre and 3 of every colour on the outside colour. So hopefully it looks as balanced as I can get it. And if you have recommendations on how I can make it more random or make it look more balanced in colour, then please let me know. But this is what I have come up with after juggling them around like a jigsaw. So that is the Quiet Sky blanket made by Anita, and I bought this pattern on Ravelry, and as soon as I finish my Sophie's Universe, I'm going to focus on this. And to keep me going with my slight loss of crafting momentum, which it feels like a loss of momentum, but it hasn't. It's because I've been doing the groundwork for publishing my own patterns. But in terms of output that I can share with you, it feels like momentum has been lost slightly, which is absolutely fine. I'm not crafting for you guys, which is just nice to share it with you. So I'm trying to focus on one thing at a time so that I can have that dopamine hit of finishing a project and the pride of finishing it, and then start the next one. So it will be finishing the Sophie's Universe before I start the baby blanket, and yeah, before I start anything else. And my other work in progress is my leaflet shawl, which I have not touched since my last episode, so I'm not even going to dig that out. It's just exactly the same as it was, and if that doesn't get picked up until later in August or even September, then that's what it will be, and it will make the most perfect autumnal knitting project, so that's fine as well. And that's it for works in progress. So what would I like to make next? There are so many patterns that I want to work on and try, and I know that I've shared a lot here as well that I haven't touched yet, but my ultimate focus for the next month is going to be finishing off the baby blanket and the Sophie's Universe blanket, and also remaking the birthday socks for my manager. And I have the yarn for those socks here. And then once I have finished off those 3 projects, so the Sophie's Universe baby blanket and socks. I can pick up on my leaflet again, and I would also really like to make the lobster socks by Summer Lee. I have all of the yarn for those socks, and I also have a pair of socks that I would like to make for a friend, which is another Summer Lee Cuff Club pattern, which I showed in my last video. But I'm just not going to pile on a load of projects that I want to make whilst I've still got projects that are going to take time to finish. And I also want to keep up the momentum with my own patterns, which is very exciting. And that's about it. So I will catch up with you next time to see if I did have any cast on itis, and maybe I have a bit more to show you. Now we're on to acquisitions, and I do have quite a lot of acquisitions to share with you. Thank you to my friend Beck. So I had previously, like a day or so before my friend messaged, I had ordered from Wool Warehouse this bag of acrylic Stylecraft Specialty K for the baby blanket, and in there was some socks, 4-ply by Coop Knits in the colour Lepidolite. I'm butchering that probably, but Lepidolite. And this is a beautiful blush pink colour. Let me put that there so I can show you the colour of this. And it has got some kind of tones of more of a grey or like a dusty colour within it, and I thought this was beautiful, and I do have a design in mind for this, which is why I bought it. And then I have this big bag of Stylecraft acrylic. This is bought for the baby blanket, and to make up for the free delivery I did add a colour Spice, I think it's called, this orange colour, because I want to make some pumpkin-y autumn decorations for the autumn. And now I don't know what to do with this. So I do have 3 balls of this minty green colour, which is called tea green, for a blanket. And then I have random singular colours, which I was going to use for the bunting. And I can still use the greens for garlands and more kind of whimsical decorative projects. But to be honest, that's probably just going to get put in my stash until I figure out what I'm going to make with it. Apart from one of the greens and the orange for maybe like a pumpkin garland, and the 3 tea green balls which I can make for a baby blanket and that could be used for a gift. The rest is, it's just going to be added to my stash, which is kind of frustrating because I was making such good progress with working through my acrylic stash, and that is how the Sophie's Universe came to be about. It was about busting through my acrylic stash, and now I've just added to it with actually no project in mind. So that's one acquisition, which is actually a huge bag full, which is going to be added to my stash. And the next acquisition is courtesy of my friend. So I had bought the socks from Wool Warehouse, and then my friend messaged to say that she was destashing and she was selling a lot of her yarn, and she said that she had a lot of socks, and I was like, oh, I love socks, I've just ordered some. What colours have you got? What colours are you wanting to sell? And she basically had like a shop's worth. So I have, and I'm just trying to gather it all so that I can show you just how much there is. And I bought this all from my friend, and she posted it to me, and the post worked this time. So I've fallen out with Royal Mail. Maybe I don't use them when I make the next pair. Anyway, this is all of my 4-ply socks, which I bought from my friend, and I have lots of ideas and they're just stunning colours. There's a lot of tealy blue colours, and then I did get a couple of brighter colours as well, and I'm thinking that I'm going to use this colour, which is ruby, for the lobster socks. And I know that I had a stash of West Yorkshire spinners, but the rest of the sock is going to be socks, so for consistency I will probably use this as the contrast for the lobsters, so that all of the yarn feels the same and it has the same texture. And I think that Coop Knit socks, 4-ply, it does such a good job of blending different colours together into the strand, and it's probably going to be very hard to show you on camera. I'll just try with this one, which is the colour Chryso, and this is a kind of turquoisey greeny blue colour with flecks of almost like a lavender grey running through it, and it's absolutely not looking the same on the camera as it does in person. But if you haven't tried socks before, I would recommend trying it. It's not too pricey. It is sold in 50-gram skeins, so it's good for colour work or stripes, or if you just need that contrast colour for heels, toes and cuffs, then I would definitely recommend giving it a go. And the final acquisition that I have is some higher sharp flyers, and I'll show you the packaging for this. So it comes in a packet like this, and you get 4 of these flexible double pointed needles, and I bought these in a 2mm because that's kind of what I've been using most recently on socks, but I think I will purchase 2.25mm next time I put an order in at Wool Warehouse, or if I see these at a local yarn shop, I will pick them up. And the reason that I got these is because I use this tin. My Notions tin has everything in it: my sock needles, stitch markers, row counter, tape measure, lip balm. It has everything in it. And I had a separate pencil case which had my DPNs in it, because I use DPNs for the heel flap and gusset and the toes of my socks. And when I saw these, I thought that would fit in my tin, and it means I don't have to take the pencil case as well. And I wasn't really sure what I would think of them. They're a lot smaller than a DPN, but no smaller than the short circulars that I use, which I will try and show you. For example, they're the same length needle, so it's no different. So I have used these now for one pair of socks, and I think I like them, but I'm going to use them again on the next pair that I make. I might need to get the 2.25mm needles for that to make my mind up, but so far so good. They fit in my tin perfectly as well. You get 4 of them, so never going to run out, even if I lost one. And they're quite pricey though. I think it was around £20. Maybe it wasn't. In my head it's around £20. I will check and put it on the screen. And so they are quite pricey, but if it means that everything can stay in one place, then it's just easier for my craft bag and not having to have so many Notions lying around the spot. But that is it for acquisitions. I still haven't bought my redesign project bag. I'm still dreaming of it and thinking about which one I'm going to get. However, I have won an award at work in the last month, and through that recognition scheme there is a financial reward, and I think that I might use that to buy this bag that I have been longing for quite some time. And I think that it would maybe mean even more the fact that I had been recognised for my work, and that I had been able to buy something really lovely with it. I'm not committing to that, but that's kind of my idea, that I think I will purchase it soon with that money, and hopefully it just makes it all the more special. Now on to books, and despite not having much to show you in terms of craft, I have read so many books over the last month, mostly due to audiobooks whilst gardening, and Audible has been a game changer for me, as well as using Libby more for audiobooks. And Libby can have quite a weight on some audiobooks, but if I know that I want to read it and it's on my TBR, then I've just been is it called placing a hold? Yeah, I've been holding them until they're ready, and then it will give you a notification saying it's ready to borrow, and you're supporting the library by doing that. So yeah, through Audible and Libby, I have been listening to audiobooks, and it's just been keeping me sane whilst pulling up weeds. So the last time we spoke, I was halfway through Swept Away by Beth O'Leary, and I have finished that. I absolutely loved it. I gave it 5 stars. It is a romance, and it was an interesting plot. So the story consists of this couple, well, not a couple, but they have a one-night stand on a houseboat, and the houseboat gets unmoored and they are taken out to sea. And the story evolves in this singular setting where they are stuck in the confines of a tiny, tiny houseboat where they can barely move around each other. And they make a pact that they won't touch each other romantically, they're just friends, they're just going to survive and figure out how that they get rescued. And the story continues. There's this scene with an oil rig, which I'm not going to disclose too much about the book because I don't want to spoil it, but the oil rig scene was absolutely my favourite. And they also rescue a seagull, so they have a seagull that lives on them with the boat, and that's just a cute little addition to this couple and this love story that's panning out. And I just thought it was a unique take on a romance with just having such a limited setting for the stories and for the characters to develop. And this is my second Beth O'Leary book that I've read now. It's a third. I've read The Flat Share and The Road Trip, and I loved both of those as well. So Swept Away was a 5-star read for me. And I think one of the reasons that I loved Swept Away is because as a child, I absolutely loved the story Kenzuki's Kingdom by Michael Morpurgo. And we read this in school, and I just loved it. We have a copy on our shelf now, and I still reread it as an adult, and that is a story of a boy who gets stranded at sea and he's stuck on an island, and it's a story of survival, and it's almost like that island, Island Record or whatever it's called, where if you got stranded on an island, what would you take or what would you do, that kind of thing. And I think I like that concept for a plot. So having that be one of my favourite books as a child, and then having a romance that is similar in some ways, then I think that's what really clicked for me. So I finished Swept Away, and then I listened to Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier on Libby, and I really enjoyed this. However, I think I listened to is it called Abridged? It's like a shortened version of the book, and I really enjoyed it, but I think that I will go back and reread the book in its entirety at some point. But it was still really nice to read in the summer and have the vision of Cornwall in my brain whilst we're going through this heat wave was really nice, and it's been on my TBR for a long time. And that, if you don't know Rebecca, it's kind of, I got themes of class and society, but it's also a murder mystery at the end of the day, and so it is a bit of a thriller in its plot, so I don't really know. I'm probably just not going to do it justice at all, and I'm also struggling to find the words to explain what I want to say. So Rebecca would recommend, and I want to read the book in its entirety. However, the audiobook, I think it was a radio adaptation, and it was, I think it was a radio adaptation and a shortened version of the book, and that was really good too, though. The next book that I read was The Salt Path by Raina Wynn, and this has been on my TBR for the longest time as well. I think I bought the hardback of this book maybe 7 years ago, and it's just, well, I don't even know how old the book is. Maybe it was more recent than that, but shortly after the book was published, I bought it. And I really thoroughly enjoyed this book, and I have seen a lot of conspiracy online since reading it about the author and whether the story was true or whether some of the story has been fictionalized, and I haven't looked into it. I haven't had the time to look into it to make up my mind on what I believe or what I think. But if I just take the book as it is, reading it, and the writing, the nature, the imagery, the feeling that went into the book, I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it, and a part of me wants to educate myself and read the conspiracy or find out what's going on with the author, and the other half of me is like, well, as a piece of writing, this book was incredible. But I have the second book to read, The Wild Silence, so I might read the second book before delving and having a deep dive into the background, and then I can make more of an informed opinion of the book. After The Salt Path, I read The Daisy Chain Flower Shop by Laurie Gilmore. This is part of the Dream Harbour series, and I simply adore these books and this series. This book was not a disappointment. It's just such a cozy, spicy romance set in this small town where everyone knows what's going on in everyone else's life and everyone's nosy. There's a history to everything, and it's like Gilmore Girls and Practical Magic and all combined into this cozy, quaint autumnal town. And I definitely recommend reading this series if that's your vibe. The first book in this series is called The Pumpkin Spice Cafe, and so that kind of indicates from the bat what the themes in the book are going to be. And there is also a Pumpkin Spice Cafe cookbook being released, and that is just full of the cutest recipes, and a lot of the descriptions and characters are built around food and recipes in the book, so it's going to be nice to take some of that and trial them. So I'm looking forward to making all of the cozy autumnal recipes this autumn. The next book that I read was another audiobook, and this was one of our picks for our local book club, and it is The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. And it was a historical fiction set in the Appalachian Mountains, and it is around the time of, well, I'm probably getting this wrong, I can't remember the time, but it was very much like Calamity Jane, if you like that film. And so it is about a group of women that become librarians, and they're a mobile library. Why can't I speak? They're a mobile library, and they ride on their horses to deliver books to the community in remote areas of the mountain. And part of this book is extremely sad, and it shows how things were for women back in the day, but it is also a story of empowerment and just the joy of reading and how books can change the world. And this is a book that I wouldn't have picked up by myself. I read it because it was a book club pick, and I actually ended up really enjoying it. and this book definitely kept me going with the gardening. I had actually booked a couple of days annual leave to get on top of a few of the flower beds, and I was listening to this book and it was just keeping me going, and I probably gardened for a lot longer than I would have done if it wasn't for the audiobook. The next book that I read was also an audiobook, and that is The Chestnut Man by Søren Sveistrup, and this was a thriller, and it is about a serial killer, and the chestnut men are tiny ornaments made out of chestnuts and sticks, and this is kind of the serial killer's mark that they mark each of their bodies with. And it was longer than I thought it was going to be. This has also been on my TBR for a few years now, and I did enjoy it, but I don't think I enjoyed it as much as I thought I would. Not as much as a Lisa Jewell or a Claire Douglas thriller. I really love their writing. But I think there is an adaptation, a film or a series for this book, so I do want to watch that. And I had actually forgot that that existed until I just told you. So The Chestnut Man is going on my watch list. And the final book that I have finished is The Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas, and that is in the Throne of Glass series. And I don't know whether it's book 3 or book 4 because I read Assassin's Blade first, which is the prequel, so then book 1 becomes book 2 and so on. So I think I'm around halfway through with the Throne of Glass series, and it has gotten really good now. I am hooked. At the start I wasn't really feeling it like I did with ACOTAR, but now I am absolutely hooked with Throne of Glass, and it is reading a lot more like ACOTAR and a lot less YA. So that was my last finished read, and I am currently reading Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas, which is the next book in the Throne of Glass series. And the other book that I'm currently reading is Our Perfect Storm by Carly Fortune, which has, I think I've mentioned it in my last couple of episodes, that it has been on my imminent TBR list, and I'm halfway through on both of those books now, so I'm hoping that I can finish them this week so that I can have them wrapped up in my Goodreads and Storygraph for the month, and then I can move on with the next books in Throne of Glass, because I absolutely need to get a shift on and hurry up if I'm going to finish Throne of Glass and read Crescent City before the end of October when the next ACOTAR book comes out. So I have a challenge for myself, but I have got a lot of books on my TBR, and there are a handful that I want to focus on in the next month. So as I mentioned, The Wild Silence by Raina Wynn I want to read, as well as Empire of Storms, which is the next Throne of Glass. I have God of the Woods by Liz Moore available on Libby, that came through today, so I have put my borrow in, and I have 2 weeks to listen to that, so I'm looking forward to that. That is a thriller. I think it's more of a psychological thriller, but I will update you when I have read it. I have on my imminent TBR is Disenchanted by Lucy Jane Wood, and this is the third book in the Rewitched series. The first book is Rewitched, the second book Uncharmed, and I read Rewitched. I bought Rewitched myself, and then I was provided an advanced reader copy of Uncharmed through NetGalley last year, and I reviewed that book, and this year I have been contacted by the publisher through NetGalley again with a copy of Disenchanted. So I have an advanced reader copy of Disenchanted to read, and I believe that this, I'm just going to check on my laptop when it's going to be published, but I am extremely excited to read this. The series so far has just been witchy goodness, coming of age. It's very much like Practical Magic vibes, if that's your thing, and fantasy, magical powers. Absolutely can't wait to read this one, which from the front cover it's looking like it is set in either a library or she is bookish, and that fits me just fine. And then the next read I have is a buddy read with my friend, and that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I haven't actually looked as to what this book is about at all. I'm just completely putting my trust in Taylor Jenkins Reid as an author because I have loved every single one of her books that I have read so far, bar one. I think it's called Maybe in Another Life. It was like a life switch plot. I'm not sure. I didn't love that one, but every other book of hers I have absolutely loved. So I'm going to be reading that with a friend. And as well as that, I also have Watching You by Lisa Jewell, which was our buddy read for July. However, my friend has been moving house and hasn't had the time to read, so we're going to try and squash 2 buddy reads into August, but we're going to start with Atmosphere and then move on to Lisa Jewell if we get time. And the final book that I have here, which may or may not be getting read in the next month, is The Repentance by Kate Foster, and that is on my list because my friend has lent me her copy to read, and I would like to read it so that I can give her her book back. But I have read a few of Kate Foster's books now. They are, I think every one of them has been historical fiction but set in my local area based on true events and real people. So I've really enjoyed Kate Foster's writing. I think the only book of hers that I haven't read is The King's Witches, which I had started, but I'd recently read another book around the same period of time. And sometimes if I read 2 books that are too similar by 2 different authors next to each other, I don't like one as much as the other because I'm comparing them. So I put that one on hold. King's Witches is on hold, and I will revisit that book when I have had time to not be in that era anymore. But that is my list, my TBR, which is very long, and I had not been putting so many books on my TBR because I wasn't reading as much and I was crafting more, and then I unexpectedly read a lot more in the last month than I was thinking I would, mostly because of Audible and Libby and gardening, and having the books to listen to whilst crafting has been wonderful as well. Although if it's on my Kobo I can read and knit at the same time unless I'm following a pattern, and with my own patterns I'm concentrating because I want to be able to write them effectively for you. But I have got lots to be reading and lots to be crafting and exciting things that I hope to be sharing with you. And I am sorry that this video is a week late. I have been trying to publish a video every fortnight and alternate between podcast episodes and more of a shorter vlog, and that has been working great until I have just been prioritising the garden whilst the weather has been nice, because it's not going to be dry, wonderful weather forever. And I had so much to catch up on after recovering from surgery. It is actually astonishing how quickly weeds grow, because we completely de-weeded the garden in April, and then I'm coming back to it now in July and it was a jungle, but we're getting there. So life happens, it is ebbs and flows, and I will have different hobbies at my focus at different times, and unfortunately working full time you can't do it all. You just cannot fit it all in at once, and that is absolutely fine. I make, with the time that I have, a focus in areas that I want to move forward with, and sometimes that is unpredictable and sometimes you just get a rush of energy and motivation, so I'm just going with it. And that is me. I feel like I have rambled so much in this episode, and I feel like I have been a lot more vulnerable with you guys, but I think through having my handmade socks go missing in the post really knocked me back, because now I have to make them again, and that's just frustrating. And also trying to move forward with publishing my own pattern, which is terrifying. I think just the fact that I'm here and filming again is a big win for me, because I'm not letting those negative, or fear isn't negative, it just means that I am coming out of my comfort zone, but losing my socks was definitely a negative. But those kind of more uncomfortable feelings have made it harder for me to come and film again. But I'm here, I'm positive, and I'm very excited, and I will be crafting a lot more. So if you enjoyed this video, it would mean the world to me if you could like it, comment, let me know what you're working on. I really love to hear. And if you want to hit the subscribe button, please do, so that you will be notified when I put my next video out. As I said, we have family here for the next couple of weekends, so if I don't manage to stick to my fortnightly timetable of fortnightly schedule of videos, then I will just publish as and when I can, which is exactly what I said in my first episode, that I would just do this as and when I can, because it is a fun thing to do. It is not work, and it is not hard. It's just really, really lovely to talk with other people about crafting and reading and sharing what I'm working on, and also just not boring my wife with all of this. So that is me. I hope that you're well, and please do tell me what you're working on so that I can get some inspiration, and let me know what you think of my patterns. Until next time, I will see you again soon. Bye!